Oh, that was great. I'm getting so tired. Oh, there's no slow heat. I like the strangers model. Yeah, plenty.
You know me so well. Oh man,
Hey, it's like a second fight. Second fight. Okay, everyone, check teams. Get it? Everyone, check teams really quick and make sure I have a link to what's it, Rep Tracker? Yeah. And also, if you need the codes to sign it in U.S. history, hopefully it works. I put that in. But you guys should already be signed up. You guys should have already signed up for an AP classroom. So the deadline is November 13th. So that is. It's great. November 4th. Like I don't have already some big plan. Yeah. You actually didn't wish my dad a happy birthday.
What?
I was thinking you didn't wish my dad a happy birthday. Don't be a birthday doing on Saturday.
What? Nobody's.
It worked out. Just I remember 8th grade. It wasn't my plan. But you have to write a brainstorm list, outline that you. No, it won't be. No, it's fine. The question is wrong. Pick one of the two. One more thing. If you have that back sheet filled out, I'll look at it real quick. I'll give you a little credit for it. That means you study, but you still have to write out the brainstorm, outline, and thesis. So, okay. So like, for example, Carson's got it done. As long as you have that, I'll just quick check. I haven't got it. I'll just quick check tomorrow after class, and you gotta put it away. And if you want me to look at your thesis, like just give me a second, right at the end of the period, I'll look at it. Also, if you. Also, if you. Yes, we have. So, does everyone have that on? Did everyone check Teams? Everyone have that on there? Is it? You have a link? It's up there. All right, good. Let's put everything away. Let's go ahead and get to work. We are a little behind here, so we got to get rolling. So we have to be by the Vietnam War by the end of the period. So bear down, people. So Missouri Compromise, Civil War. Oh, go. I'll do it at the end of the period. Boy, this is just so funny. But I will take a peek at your thesis statement. Remember, well, I'll show you an example of outline in a second. Boy, monopolies are buggy. Where did we finish? Did we get to?
Henry Clay. Oh, yeah.
It's much better the second time. We got this, right? Are we here? Did we get this?
No.
All right. So Henry Clay, this is going to be debated for 50 years, the American system. And it's a lot of stuff that Hamilton wanted. He wanted an even bigger protective tariff to protect American industry so they could raise prices and increase profits. First, don't forget, a tariff raises prices for everybody. Next, a strong bank. And then we might call it today infrastructure. In the 20th century, they called it public works. At this time, they called it internal improvements, like roads, at federal expense, like the national road. So he wanted more roads. He wanted help for canals, for harbors, for telegraph, and then by 1835, railroads. Yeah, that's all everyone talked about. American system, American system, American system. This was the most debated issue for this time. Everybody talked about the American system over and over again. Where's your position on the American system? And this will become the position of the Whigs, and without a doubt, will become the position of the new Republican Party in 1854. So, the American system. And the reason I'm telling you this way is we had this era of goodwill, one political party, yet the Industrial Revolution was happening so fast, it was changing everything. And this feeling of we're all together, one political party, was kind of a myth, as can be seen by the first financial panic of this new system. An asset bubble, assets are things of value. So basically, investment in companies and land, there was a big bubble and it burst. And this triggered a financial panic. Banks shut their doors. We're not going to go into detail of it right now, but this was a shock. And most people were still not yet wage workers. But this would be a sign of things to come. Because in 18 years, an even worse financial panic is going to happen. And this time there'll be more people than ever before with wage jobs. And if companies can't pay back their debts and shut their doors, workers are unemployed. No matter how hard they work, they can't buy any products. Demand tanks, people starve. This will become endemic to capitalism in every country. In the New Deal in the 1930s, laws would be passed to try to alleviate the issue of financial panics and worked really well. Beginning in the 80s and 90s, they got rid of them all, and now we are very susceptible to financial panics again. Very susceptible, which we'll obviously get to. So, one more thing I'll show you. That's 1820. That's the election of 1820. Look how much Monroe won. So one person voted for John Quincy Adams. Oh, this popped up. I don't have any idea what. Just to make sure Washington's the only unanimous president. So you think, oh, there's only one political party. Everybody in the United States agreed. This same year, we almost had civil war. Now, the Industrial Revolution relates to it, but it goes back to slavery. Remember back in 1808, so this is just review. 1808, Jefferson signed the bill to ban the slave trade. So Congress voted for this. That's back when Congress used to meet, and they voted to ban the slave trade. Just to review, I mentioned this before. Cut down the number of new slaves, limit slaveholders, slavery will go away. This was Jefferson's plan. So you limit the number of slaves. One of the three compromises of the Constitution was the Commerce Compromise. The Congress can regulate commerce. They can't touch the slave trade for 20 years. That's when they banned it. Now, this means the banning of the international slave trade, meaning people who were taken as free people and kidnapped, or whatever the situation might have been in Africa, kidnapped and sent into slavery. That's what we're talking about here. If they're already a slave, they could be traded, which of course would lead to some interesting tricks. But let's get now to Jefferson's plan. This is Jefferson's plan to get rid of slavery. He called it diffusion. Diffusion. So you spread slavery out, but limit the number of slaves. You spread it out, limit it. The percentage of slaves drops, and it would just go away. About 100 years. Just spread it out. He'll be long gone. But the big thing is the political power of the slaveholders will drop because there'll be fewer of them. And its example of this was in the North. If you look at the North, you'll still see a significant portion of the population of northern states, less than 10%, but a large number of enslaved people were still in the North in 1790. But by 1860, there were very few enslaved people. New Jersey, a little bit in Illinois, that's it. Well, and so that's its proof. It'll eventually just go away. And everybody kind of agreed because slavery was not as profitable as it once was. In fact, it was becoming less profitable for the slaveholders, so they were less resistant. And then an atomic bomb was exploded. The Industrial Revolution. And everything changed. You notice I did this? I don't know if that's supposed to be a tree or an atomic bomb, but I can call it an atomic bomb and notice radiation. Pretty cool, huh? Special effects. All of a sudden, overnight, the demand for cotton exploded because of the new textile industry, and slavery became profitable again. And everything changed overnight. Oh, we could start making money. Right when the War of 1812 ended, all of a sudden, these producers started selling their cotton to British textile mills. Money to be made. And everything changed. And people began to look at Jefferson's plan as it's going to hurt us. But this is how they looked at it. If slavery is restricted, let's say slavery is restricted. I'm talking about somebody in 1818, they're talking about this. You restrict slavery. That means no more new slave states. All right, we're stopping the expansion of slavery. Everyone got that? We're stopping the expansion. What happens to the concentration of slaves in areas that still have slavery? So it doesn't spread westward. It's just going to be a little area here with slaves. What happens to the percentage of slaves in each state as compared to free population? Does the percentage of slaves go up or down? Up dramatically. That's why they looked at it. And what is the greatest fear of slaveholders? Rebellion. And they looked at Haiti, and they saw in Haiti that over 95% of the people who lived there were enslaved, and that allowed for the rebellion to work. The lower the percentage of slaves, the less likely they'll take the risks. When they fight against slavery, they'll run away instead. And the rebellions are horrible. There's no prisoners taken. The slaveholders know how bad they treat the slaves. So they know that desire for revenge. And the slaves know that they will be tortured to death if they try a slave rebellion and fail. They know it. So these are horrific. And so they say, overnight, if you start restricting slavery, you're condemning us to the hells of slave rebellion. You're condemning us to our throats cut in the middle of the night. That's what they're saying. So it goes from being, yeah, should we expand slavery and not more slave codes, to you're going to murder us unless we expand slavery. So everything shifted. We have to spread slavery to protect it. More slave states, more pro-slavery members of Congress. Now, remember immigration? What section of the United States were the immigrants, most immigrants coming to? Going to, north or south? Said this many times. Let's see if we remember, north or south? By far the north. That's where most of the economic growth was. They're going to the north. This goes back to the beginning of colonial America. There was more diversification of the economy. You don't have anything. You're dirt poor coming to the United States. You go where there's going to be a job. So the population of the North was growing. That means more members of the House. And the South is starting to see it by 1820. And that's going to lead to the Missouri Compromise. Sometimes it might be called the Compromise of 1820, the Missouri Compromise. And this is the first really big confrontation about sectionalism. The North-South divide over slave codes or no slave codes, slave or free. Missouri wanted to come in as a slave state. So if you look at this map right here, here's Louisiana Purchase. Louisiana came in right away. Everybody knew it'd be a slave state because of the power of the slaveholders. But then the rest of Louisiana, it's up in the air. and nobody wanted to touch it. Along the Missouri River right here, a number of slaveholders were bringing in their enslaved people and starting plantations. Taking the land here from the people who lived there and starting plantations. Enough came in, they wanted to become in as slaves. So, this is the all in pink. It's not pink, it's a pink or purple? Pink? They want to come in, there are even number of slave states and free states. There are even none. Right here. So, Missouri wants to come in, and that would disrupt that balance. The bill was in the House of Representatives, and an amendment was added by James Towns, that's a portrait of him here afterwards. A relatively unknown Republican, they're all Republicans pretty much. What was the name for the fear that slaveholders were being overrepresented by the from the Three-Fifths Compromise? What was that called? Slave power. I forgot what I was saying right in the middle of saying it. Think about being in front of people. Anti-slave power. Like many Northerners, they were terrified of slave power. And as they saw more slave states, more members of the House per slave owner, and more electors. And remember, presidents are, to this day, are not chosen by voters. They're chosen by the Electoral College. So, anti-slave power. So he does not want the expansion of more slave states into the Louisiana Purchase. Okay, these are a done deal. These are a done deal. Florida was literally just purchased as a territory. Everyone assumed that would be a slave territory. That's way down the road. No one really, population really small. Louisiana came in, stopped. So he proposed in this amendment to the bill to allow Missouri to come in. So he added this to the bill. It's called post-Nady emancipation. Post-Nady emancipation. Anybody know what post-Nady means? Okay, yeah. Oh, post, it means after. Do you know what prenatal care is? Yeah, before. Yeah, so care for the mother before. Prenatal, so post-Nady, after they're born. So, slaves, once Missouri became a state, anybody who was born a slave after that fact, when they turned 25, they're emancipated. They're free. So there'll be a slave till they're 25. So we gradually get rid of slavery. New York did that 20 years before, and that was Talmadge's example. That's how New York gradually got rid of slaves. Now let's be clear, this is gradual. This is not to help the enslaved people being worked to death in hellish conditions. No, it's to help the poor slaveholders who want to make sure they get their money back. So we can see the obvious reason they get 25 years of work out of it, right? Oh, they also might have children. Children of slaves become slaves. So as long as they're still property, they own them. But then you see the other way, the owner will get money. Remember, slaves are property, 100% property. The owner can do whatever they want with them as property until they turn 25. So anything more than 25 they can do. So think about it, you're here. This is Missouri, brand new free state with post-Nady emancipation. Anything. To make the slaveholders money, what can they do? Before they turn 25. Yes. But I already said that in front of class. Yeah. What's that? So. That's what they would do. They would sell them before they turn 25. Now, this is the term you have to get. The area in the South, they just call it downriver because of the Mississippi River. They'd sell them downriver. They would sell them down. Everyone got that? In fact, they would tell the slaves. They would tell these poor people, don't run away. Don't try to run away. Because you're going to be free. We promise, I promise. I promise you. Don't worry. Yeah, right before they're 25, it's a permanent slave. It's evil as you could possibly imagine. And that's just awful. And I should add, if they have children, they keep kids, of course. It's a slavery. So they sell them downriver. So the slaveholders get the money. Why did Talmadge want that? Well, first off, he didn't care about the enslaved people. But here's the big. Talmadge was thinking, what's the future of the United States going to be? And as he saw it, it should be only one color. And they would talk very openly about this having to be a white republic. And only people who are white, which once in, but what's the matter? So people of European descent solely. And so what's going to happen? There won't be freedmen, as former slaves were called, because they'll all be sent south down the river. And so it'll be a white republic of the north. And they talk about it all the time. And this is something that's going to be really confusing. I remember it's confusing for me when I first started learning this. A lot of people who are opposed to the expansion of slavery wanted a white republic. They were as racist as the people who had the slaves, but they were in a different way. So that's what Talmadge wanted. And here's the amazing thing. It passed the House. The population was such that there were more northern members of the House than it passed. And the map looks really bad for the South. It's going to be really bad for the South down the road. It's got to be stopped in the Senate. Now, it was stopped. But you can imagine the point of view of the South. If we pass this, our balance in the Senate will go away. And their reaction was not, oh, we should have a political discussion about this. No, their reaction was, if you pass this bill and more states do post-natal emancipation, so once again, they said, you're killing us. If you pass this law, we're going to be butchered to death in this way. And the blood is on your hands. And we will not allow this. We will not allow post-natal emancipation. What we need Missouri as a slave state, and we need, I have no idea how this happens. Every time it happens. Senatorial balance. We need a balance of slave states and free states so we can stop radical action in the House. And if we don't get that, secession. We will leave the Union. And everybody knew secession meant civil war. There would be no peaceful leaving of the Union. If the Union dissolves, it's war. So they're threatening a horrible, bloody civil war. And one more thing, if civil war would have happened in 1820, the United States would have lost. And what we know of the Union, almost certainly would have lost. We don't catch it 100%. And no idea what would happen. No idea. Broken up in a bunch of small countries. Britain probably would have came back and scooped up a piece. Who knows? So, secession. And so, almost immediately, talking civil war. Remember, this is the era of good feelings? The same year as that nearly unanimous election. And there's fist fights on the floor of the House and the Senate. And people are starting to bring guns and knives. Once again, that's back when the House and the Senate used to meet. And that will lead to the Missouri Compromise. So what's the Missouri Compromise? So Senator William Thomas of Missouri set up this compromise. Now, see what we're drawing here. Let's make sure we get this now. So Missouri will come in as a slave state. Maine would be broken off from Massachusetts and become a free state. So senatorial balance. So this is what the South wanted. They got their choice. And once they got a slave state in the rest of Louisiana, you can imagine them thinking, we'll get more. We'll get more. But here's what the North wanted. So they wouldn't have expansion of slave power. No slavery north of this latitude line, 3630 in the Louisiana Purchase. So all this area then, Missouri's outside of this, no slave codes for the rest of Louisiana Purchase. And Southerners were actually very worried about this. again, same idea. Where do you spread slavery if only Arkansas Territory would be the only home with slave codes? And it runs into, okay, when they were debating this, it was Spain. When the bill became law, it's Mexico. That's how fast things were changing. Of course, Southerners are thinking, yeah, we'll get both. All the way down to Argentina. But Southerners didn't want that. And here's the thing. Get this, it didn't pass. Didn't pass. And people were thinking, we're going to go home, get ready for war. Didn't pass. It's all going to fall apart. And it happened so fast, so sudden. Looks like war. But then Henry Clay, the same guy who did the American system, split the bill. 2 parts. So the Maine, Missouri as a slave state, Maine free, the South passed it. 3630, the North passed it. It passed. And he will become known as, the quotes are behind his picture, but the great compromiser. And for the rest of his life, he will be known as a man who sacrificed all to save the Union. And considered one of the great legislators in history, Henry Clay, will have a towering presence. Some justified, some not. Here's a pretty common portrait for the time when they want to show the great man. They have him pointing down. So that makes him look tall, like a greater status, pointing down to the lesser. If you're looking up, that implies that you're looking up at somebody above you. Okay. So that is, did it save the Union? They thought so. Immediately, the champagne came out, they hugged, then they put both sides, we saved, it's over, they toasted it. Yeah, it saved the Union, without a doubt, saved the Union. Oh, there's still going to be civil war, but not in 1812. 13 years later, it almost happened again. 11 years later, pretty close. 1850, it's a shock it didn't. And then, of course, 1860, 61. But the world was different. And the United States has a chance of winning in 1861. It didn't have much of a chance in 1820. It would have been too difficult. So, oh, that class looks happy. Which kid do you not trust?
Yeah, I'm like, what do you say ears?
You can hear it. You said big ears.
Oh, she's. Oh my God.
Here is a practice. Here's a sample album. So let me give you an example of what this is. Here's your question. What is your favorite food? Oh, one thing, I put it up there so I would not forget. No first person personal pronouns in an essay. Do not write down I think. Do not put down the United States as us or we. Put down the United States. Don't put I think. Put it down as fact. Don't put down, and you might get more rights. Not me, the reader, put down citizens of the US. Get out of that habit if you still have it for essay. If we're in class talking colloquial, we can say that, but not on an essay. That is improper. That's the kind of thing where you might lose a little bit of credit. So get out of the habit. But what's your favorite? What's the greatest food? I could have put down Kit Kats, but I just went for chocolate, right? So chocolate is the best food. So that's my why. Chocolate's the best food, right? Why? This is a 5-paragraph essay. So the first part, it tastes good. Secondly, it provides energy, makes people happy. And look at the outline. I put down 3 examples, but you need at least 2. Everyone got that? Sound good? Quick little essay. All right. Let's see another example. So we have to have a brainstorm list. So this is what I've been doing for years at the advice of a former student of mine. We used to use a brainstorm list just on top. And she did it like this, and it's so superior. Right here, the BS list. Get it? But the question, evaluate the following statement. Dogs are the best pet. And here's a brainstorm list. Breeds, driving skills, breath. Dogs are moochers. Reading, food, rabbits, furs, slavery, tail, chest, kitty litter, pizza, bed, cookies. It's a brainstorm list.
Okay,
So here's my thesis statement.
so wait, if we put Kit Kats on our banana brainstorm with this just 4, you're gonna be like, okay. Then where's,
We're not, Kit Kats are still about 7 years. Yeah, come on.
So good, so 1%.
So, because of dogs' many liabilities, cats are the superior pet due to their intelligence and independence. So, cats are liabilities, dogs liability, dogs can't drive, dog breath and their moochers. Intelligent cats, better cooks, love chess, kitty them. Independent cats, love to read, better job, do not fear rabbits. So, yeah, right? Well, I didn't use it. Here's another thesis statement, so we'll see a more basic one. Due to many positive attributes, dogs make the best pets. So I evaluated the statement by why is dogs are the best pet. Why? Intelligence. They're intelligent, loyal, and superior artistic skills. So those are my three. Remember, for this one, you're only doing a 4-paragraph essay. Let me give you one more example. So here's this is what we call an intense question. How did the institution of slavery lead to racism in the US? Now, you have to come up with 15 things tomorrow. You should be prepared. If you can't come up with 15 things, I don't tell you. Don't tell. 15. And then, thesis, labor, bacon, racism. I put down 3, but you need at least 2 examples per paragraph. 1 or 2 words each, that's it. Any questions on an outline? Brainstorm, outline, and thesis. Hey, at a timed essay, you're not gonna have time to go through every sentence. Pay attention up here. You're not gonna have time, but the thesis statement is in 1 sentence. You should go through a couple minutes. Write it and make sure you think about it. That is the 1 sentence in a timed essay. What's the least important paragraph? The close. In a timed essay, the close. So you want a good opening, remember context, background. Remember that we talked about that in class. Context, thesis, 2 good body paragraphs, and then closing, we say the thesis, and then what it led to, or context. All right. This copy is on Teams. Everybody write down one more thing. The Jacksonian era. So this is actually the whole Jacksonian era. And by the way, the grades are in. If I told you many times to check your grade, if there was happened to be a mistake I made, please let me know. If not, the grade you get is grade you get. And the thing about Jackson was either the hero, the man and the horse coming to our defense, or is to his enemy a king, a tyrant. Which was he? Not really either, as it would come out. So, Jackson, election of 1824. How much time? We're done, aren't we? Huh? Oh, we still got 5 minutes. Oh. (1824) showed that whole arrogant feeling thing was kind of garbage. 5 people wanted to be president. Henry Clay, John Quincy Adams, the Secretary of State. His dad was John Adams. Crawford looked like he was going to be the next powerful politician. He was an up-and-coming politician. He had a stroke right before the actual election was decided and never recovered. Strokes are a pretty terrifying thing, but especially then. He lived for another, 7 years, but couldn't. 5 different people. John Quincy Adams looked a little bit like his dad, and yes, he did not have a forehead. He had a 5 or 6 head. Do you agree? That's a noggin. And then Andrew Jackson, the general, the hero. And Jackson was complex. I would say, in some ways good, in some ways horrific. He was a horrible slaveholder, amongst many other things. It's complex. Oh, and one more person wanted to be president. Anybody know who? And of course, Senator from South Carolina and also Secretary of War, John C. Calhoun. The most horrible man ever to live. And I know what a lot of you are thinking, and I agree. You see it? Neck hair. Ew. What do you mean, ew? Neck hair. Look at that. Calhoun decided, you know what? I'm not gonna win, so I'll be the vice president. So you have a really weird situation where it really doesn't matter who will be elected president, the vice president's going to be Calhoun. So that is the situation. And. But it's what mean? The vice president. Oh. That's it. That's the abbreviation for vice president. Yeah. I would just go with it. Yeah. V, because they would say VP. VP. So VP is vice president. I didn't even think about it. I'm so used to that abbreviation. I didn't even think about it to explain it. Yeah, I know. VP. So the VP is a vice president. Who's the vice president today? Fans. Okay. And no, he does not have neck hair. This is the first time. Well, this. I know you. Kind of. So, this is the first time that electors were picked by the voters in a lot of states. State assemblies were allowing voters to pick the electors. So this is the first election where we have something called a popular vote, where you can count the voters who voted for electors for any one of the four candidates and give that popular vote to that candidate. That's what we have today. Remember what I told you? When I voted in 2024 for president, I did not vote for Harris or Trump. I voted for electors pledged to Harris or electors pledged to Trump. And that's, we do not vote for president. And this is what happened. Oh. Last thing for today. Last thing for today. I didn't type this in, so everybody write down, nobody got a majority. Jackson got more popular votes, but that doesn't matter. Jackson had more electors, but he did not have 50%. So it went to the House. It went to the House. And that's where we put. If anybody wants me to look at their thesis statement, put your stuff away and then bring it up, and I will take a look at it. Yes. That's getting a lot out of me. That's good. Everything together with innovation. Very good. Very good. I know, and I know exactly where you're going. That'll work great. If you want me to look at it, just bring it up. Good. That works. I was giving yours. Okay, we'll need a core program that's, if we need some kind of law, like you know, like the new economic system of capitalism, something like that. That works good. Railroad kind of good.
So I'm still kind of concerned, so that instance is like a sentence, it's just.
Yeah, but it's in, yeah.
Okay, yeah, yeah, so it's like, why is there?
That's what he's about.
I think I forgot.
Yeah, if you need something about economics, maybe things in account, what's like, take that, you can place in the years. So you can.
Okay, so like, that's kind of my vibe. Thank you.
Not be exactly what I'm doing.
Okay, thank you, okay.
Which that's not a.
Is that 94 on this, but it's 74.
I bet I just. I bet it made a terrible 9. I'm grateful. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
That's good. That large motivation. That's good. Yeah, now, and I know exactly where you're going. Good thesis. Very good. Now you only need a 4 paragraph.
Yeah, and I was not good.
So pick one, pick whichever one you don't want to do. The rest of it looks good. Good why? Good. Okay.
Little shaky.
Why?
It's, I don't know,
What? Yeah. And call that a back. You put that one people. Maybe end up voting for.
I guess
The new Plymouth role in the normal system, you say that.
for that essay, it's like, We have to do the album.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I want you to, think about it, go through everything that's fine. They don't change something. If you know what's gonna be, yes, help. They just have to. It could be something. The branch, but there has to be things.